Hey everybody, it's Charlie Merrill with Merrill Performance. Sorry if I look a little glossy today. I just had a great workout with some front squats, box jumps, rowing, and though I'm a little sweaty and quite a bit more tired than I was an hour ago, my head's a lot more clear. And that's going to allow me hopefully to share some insight about shoes today. I've been spending a lot of time talking about shoes the last few weeks. And I'm always interested in seeing what people are wearing for running, cycling, crossfitting, tennis, etc. And that leads usually to some conversations around what shoe to look for next. And depending on why I'm seeing these people, whether it's knee pain or hip pain or foot pain, there's generally an opportunity to improve the person's foot strength and mechanics and awareness, and shoe wear is a really important part of that process. So today I saw a client who was having some problems with her metatarsals, which is basically the ball of her foot. She was also having some knee pain on one side, which was primarily due to running. And she was running in a shoe, once I looked it up, it was an Asics shoe that had a 13 millimeter heel height. And shoes are generally rated based on how much higher the heel is than the ball of the foot. That's called the stack height or the drop, depending on who you're talking to. Most traditional running shoes have a 13 millimeter, a heel that's 13 millimeters higher than the ball of the foot. And that essentially puts your foot in a toe down position, which ends up putting a lot more stress on the ball of the foot, a lot more stress on the knee, because the knee then tends to come more forward over the toes, loads the kneecap harder, puts more stress on the quads, and results in less work being done by the posterior chain, which is the glutes and the hamstrings. And when people were heel striking more, the reason shoe companies did this was to create more cushion for landing in the heel. You can imagine that when we have our shoes off, our body was designed for our heel and the ball of our foot to be in the same plane, basically to be flat. So in an ideal world, we have a shoe that's a 0 millimeter stack height or a 0 millimeter rise, like this shoe I'm holding here. And my apologies for all the red. I feel like a chameleon, everything's blending in today with my wall. But this is a shoe with a 0 millimeter heel, so it's very natural, it's very flexible, and it promotes as natural a foot position as possible. When I'm encouraging people to look for a new shoe to help with their mechanics, I'm usually encouraging them to drop down from a 13 millimeter shoe, traditional shoe, to one that has more of a 8 millimeter heel height. And most CrossFit shoes, like this one here, are built with a 4 millimeter heel, a heel that's 4 millimeters higher than the ball of the foot, or a 4 millimeter stack height. And that's a nice first step to bring the person down to a lower heel height.
Here are a couple of examples from runningwarehouse.com. This Mizuno shoe lists the heel height as 32 millimeters, which is 12 millimeters higher than the forefoot listing. This Adidas shoe shows a 10 millimeter stack height, where the heel height is 26 millimeters compared to a 16 millimeter forefoot.
My trend over the past many years is to take orthotics out of people's shoes to bring the shoe lower, so the heel is lower, more flat relative to the ball of the foot, and that results in a more natural foot position, more natural mechanics with less strain on the knees and the feet. One of the benefits that I've noticed just empirically, both in myself and in a lot of the athletes that I've worked with over the past 10 years, as shoe heel height has started to come lower, is that people have better strength in their feet. That means in the sole of their feet, the muscles in the feet themselves that help to support the arch. And in a lot of cases, especially if they're doing strength training, their feet actually get shorter as their arches get higher. And I've done a video on this in the past where I've demonstrated how much shorter the foot gets when the foot muscles are engaged and the arch is higher.
Let me share an example of how to strengthen and better position your foot. You can see the distance between the two sticks is my foot at its longest. As I contract the muscles in my foot and lower leg, my toes pull away from the stick, making my foot functionally shorter and more stable. I'm doing this without curling my toes, but rather contracting the muscles in the arch of my foot and in my lower leg. And if you do this right, you'll feel the muscles straining a bit. Once I get this foot position dialed in, I can start using it both in standing and when I'm squatting, doing my strength training, etc. This will ultimately carry over to your running. Give it a try.
Bottom line is, we're all better off when we have feet that are stronger, where we have a little bit more integrity to our arch, and when we have the ability to operate in a way where our foot is closer to its more natural position. The heel's a little lower, a little closer to the same height as the ball of the foot, so that we function biomechanically as natural as possible. So it's worth transitioning from a higher heel shoe to a lower heel shoe for your athletics for many reasons. Seek out someone that knows how to help you with this process. Take your time, go slowly. Ask the running stores when you're shopping what the stack height is. If they don't know, find another store or look it up on the internet. Runningwarehouse.com is a great source for this. If you plug in the shoe that you're looking for, there's generally a little chart that shows the height of the forefoot, shows the height of the heel, and then you can do the math to figure out the stack height. It also gives you a sense for how much overall cushion there is, depending on how thick in millimeters the stack height is. And I find that Running Warehouse is a great source for that. So post at the bottom if you have any questions. I hope you'll start to experiment with some different shoes. There are tons of these shoes out there nowadays. Since the minimalist movement, which took shoes down to almost nothing, this is a great sort of lasting benefit of that movement, where shoe companies have started to rethink how they build shoes so that we have our feet in a more natural position. We can feel the ground better. We get stronger feet. We get better mechanics. We get less strain on our feet, less strain on our knees. And yeah, we just get stronger overall. So thanks for tuning in. I hope that's helpful. And as always, let me know if you have any questions.